Mhm.
Uh, what I wanted to mention, because you mentioned a few things about the terms that we use and how we relate ourselves. I want to kind of, if we got time, to tap into uh, the meaning of voodoo or voodoo, because again, that's another myth.
Important question. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when we came and we began to adapt, and adapt to the and there is a distinction between Western Christianity and the Christianity that our people
Right.
practice in East Africa, mainly the Ethiopians, and all up in northern parts of Africa, and in some in that region, in that area, there's a distinct difference between the
Oh,
two.
absolutely. Um, so go back. Don't let me lose my way. Bring me back to voodoo, but let me go back to Ethiopia.
Mhm,
Let's come forward. In the 15th century, Martin Luther breaks away from the Catholic Church
mhm,
and starts the Protestant Reformation, right? Or revolution, whatever they want to
mhm,
call it. But this is the 1500 AD. Now, the Catholic Church is 1,000 years older than Luther's move.
mhm,
Luther started the Protestant church. There's no Methodist church, Baptist church, Episcopal, but none of that exists yet until Luther makes the break in the 1500s, right? The Catholic Church has been hanging around for 1,000 years before that, split in two pieces, right? The Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. And so out of the Eastern and the Western Roman Empire becomes the Eastern Orthodox Church
mhm,
and the Catholic Church.
mhm,
Well, the Catholic Church doesn't come give birth to itself until 500 years after the Eastern Orthodox Church. It gives birth the Eastern Orthodox Church and what becomes the Egyptian Coptic Church gives birth to what we know today as the Ethiopian Church.
mhm.
At that time, the people who were calling themselves Egyptian Coptics were African Nubian peoples. The white Arabs hadn't taken over Egypt yet.
Mhm.
The Serbs hadn't taken Egypt yet. The same thing goes for the Eastern Church in the Eastern Roman Empire. These are black people. They call them in history the Byzantines. Out of the Byzantine Church and the Egyptian Orthodox Church arise the Ethiopian Christian Church, which is 500 years older than the Catholic Church and 1,000 years older or 1,500 years older than the Western white Protestant Church, which we would inherit when we get to America.
Right.
Let me say that again. I want people to understand that. See, timeline is a beautiful thing, and you got to learn how to use it, right? When the
Mhm.
Ethiopian church is born and they're practicing a form of Christianity, which they still practice to this day, that doesn't look like nothing we see over here, right? And it's older than what we got over here. What we got over here was given birth by that.
Mhm.
Because the people in Byzantia, these are also African. The people in the Coptic Church of Egypt at this point is also Ethiopians or African, because the word Ethiopian wasn't talking about the country we in today, it was talking about all of Africa
Right.
at that time, right? And so when the Catholic Church is born, the Ethiopian Church is already 500 years old.
Mhm.
So we didn't wait for them to bring us Christianity. We invented Christianity and loaned it to them.
Right.
I hope our people hear this. Now, I want y'all to really hear this. Okay, Mr. Preacher Man, y'all deal with theology. Y'all teach your people. When the Ethiopian church is in its 500th year, Catholicism began an organized process. And it would take another 1,000 years or 500 years before you get a Protestant process. By this time, the Ethiopian church is 1,000 years old.
Mm.
But that's the Ethiopian church. Because of Islam's destruction, churches older than Ethiopia and cathedrals bigger than Ethiopia was built in the Sudan. And they're excavating a lot of these Sudanese Christian cathedral, that's older than the Catholic Church or older than any European Protestantism. Can y'all digest that? And then we can come fast forward back to North America and the Caribbean. When they say, start talking, calling our entire system Vodun.
Mm.
And they got us running around scared of the word voodoo, just like they got us saying the N word about an African word, not a Portuguese or Spanish word. Now, but the Spanish and Portuguese interpreted as negrito
Mhm.
and negro, and the foolish Scottish Irish called nigger. Okay, those words were an African word describing African people going back as far as Kemet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to start doing some serious homework and understand how we get played out of pocket. But anyway, this beautiful word that's called Vodun, you find in two African language systems, the Fan language of Benin and the Ewe language of Togo. And they're sister languages, they're related. They're related to the Yoruba language of the greater Nigeria, Cameroon, Nigeria area. And the word means, according to all the languages I've studied there and all my teachers, Dr. Kamaji, who is the priest of the Ewe, who've been one of my teachers for over 25 years, the word means the essence of God in a thing. So if I wanted to say the essence of God in nature, I say voodoo Godzi.
Mhm.
Okay. Voodoo Godzi means the essence of God in nature. If I wanted to say the essence of God in man, I say voodoo daha, the essence of God in the human. And that's what the word voodoo means. It means the essence of the divine in a thing. Okay. And so the people who were the last major group to come to Haiti were the people from the place we now call Benin, which was then called Dahomey.
Mhm.
So now they weren't the only people that came to Haiti, but they're the last layer. And usually the last layer, most of their language and spiritual interpretation survives. Just like
Mhm.
you would find in Trinidad, where the last layer were Yoruba. So if you go to Trinidad, you find more Yoruba shrines than anything. If you go to Jamaica, the last layer was Akan. And so you find the Akan people being dominant. So in Haiti, that last layer came out of Dahomey,
Okay.
out of Benin. And voodoo is one of their words for the essence of the divine.
Mm.
Now,
And
whites
I don't
then take it to mean the whole system. But any true voodoo devotee will tell you that the whole system is not called voodoo. We have no name for our whole system.
wow.
Because to name a thing, you must know the boundaries of the thing, and no one can
Right.
know the boundaries of sacred science or the boundaries of the divine itself. How can you
Right.
know the boundaries of the divine? And if you don't know the boundaries, how can you then name something?
Right. You can't define it. Yeah.
That's
You
right. You
can't
can't
you
define
can't
what
name,
you meant for the
can't
boundary.
define.
So
Right.
Africans knew that. So in the Ewe town language, their word for the totality was Sogbe Lisa. Sogbe Lisa. It means the totality of creation as divine, as the divinity.